I'm going to go over how to do a vertical pull. So lots of different variations. You can do a wider grip, which activates the side of the back muscle called your lats, or you can go a little closer. But I just want to kind of teach or go over that general movement of what you're doing in that position. So I'm going to use a modified lat pull down. I don't have a lat pull down machine. So I'm going to use cables with both the attachments at the top there. And what you want to think of is, if you've watched the shoulder press video I made, your shoulder blades do three different things. They're going up or down, and then the wing up and down like that. Or the third kind of movement they do is back and forth. So those are three movements. In a pull down or some kind of vertical pull down, the two main things you're going to do is kind of pull the shoulder blades down, so a depression, and then you're going to pull your elbows into rib cage, which is going to take that shoulder blade and kind of wing it downwards. If that makes sense. So as I reach upwards, my shoulder blades are coming up, and as I pull down, they're winging down. So with a lat pull down like this, I want to think of two things. There's kind of two phases to this. There's the shoulder blades going down, and then the shoulder blades going together. And they'll happen together at the same time, but it might help initially to just focus on down and then in. So it looks a little something like this. Mostly you'll have machines that actually have some kind of attachment you can just grab, or the other variation of this would just be an actual pull-up. So I'll show pull-ups quick. Once again, there's some subtle differences with grip. I'm not going to go over too much detail, but just know that based on where you grip, it's going to activate different muscles. So this is more your kind of mid-back. This is more your kind of your mid-back plus sides, called your lats. And then there's another variation, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. It's a chin-up. So the palms are facing yourself. That tends to use a lot more bicep, whereas forward, a lot more forearm. Biceps still get used, but they're just not the primary kind of muscle. So what you want to think of is, I find what works really well, if just kind of teaching a medium type pull-up, so not biasing the lats too much, not coming too close, or doing a chin-up. Things to think of is, at the bottom, you want to feel that kind of back stretch. So you want to feel that kind of stretch happening there. Use that, pull yourself up, versus using your hand or your forearm to kind of muscle everything. You want to feel that stretch, and as you pull up, you can feel your shoulder blades come up like that, and then you should feel them kind of come closer. If you don't, just think of driving your elbows to your rib cage. So pull-ups are not something everyone can do really well. It's something I would say as a personal trainer, a lot of people have troubles with. So there's different modifications you can make. I'm not going to go over them in detail, but if you're in a gym, you may have a pull-up assist machine, which essentially is a little knee pad you sit on, and then whatever weight you select, that's the amount of weight that's assisting you upwards. You can also use a band. That's helpful. You can kind of choke it over the top like this. This isn't my favorite. I prefer, if I can use a squat rack, to have the two spots on the rack where you put that kind of rack position, and then you can stretch the band over top of those. That way you can get into it, press down. I just find this a little easier, a little less awkward, but you can use a band like this and choke it. The thicker the band, the more assistance you get. The thinner the band, obviously, the least. Once again, you choke with different bands over top here like that. 1 foot, 2 foot, 2 knees, 1 knee. Those are your kind of different positions. I don't like that as much. I like to prefer something like this, where you get your rack supports here, put them over top, stretch them, and then there's different ways you can increase your support. You can increase the height where the band is, get more, or decrease it to less, or you change the band thickness. So you can use those two. But what I like about this is it's just a lot more natural to get in and out. So if you're maybe not as tall, you can put a little kind of stepper or bench there, step on top, or step into it, grab your different kind of width or whatever bias you're trying to use for your pull up. So 2 feet is the most support. You can go a little less, just to 1 if you want. And then I don't really recommend knees for this one, because you have to put this band pretty high. That's just kind of awkward. So your two main positions is going to be 2 feet or 1 foot. And then once again, change the band thickness or height to help